Yo, what's going on, my people? It's your big homie Crooks the Great, aka CTG, and I'm back at you guys with another banger of an Undisputed video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about 4 things that Steel City needs to look into changing in the next patch for Undisputed. Now, my whole reasoning behind making this video is because generally I know that right after a patch happens is generally when the developers start to look at the next things that they're going to change for the game in the next patch. So I not only want to give my opinions on it, which are very community based, but I like to hear your guys' opinions because, as I've said before, the game devs and the community managers and stuff like that, they all watch my videos. So, you know, starting to get those ideas in their minds early, there means that there's a better chance that we might see some of these things fixed in the next patch for the game. So with that being said, there's 4 things that I really want to key in on that I feel like Steel City needs to make adjustments on for Undisputed going forward. The first thing is going to be obviously the big thing, finding out some way to make desync more bearable. Now, we all know, as Shabib said, you know, it's a coding issue with Undisputed, and that's the reason why they haven't been able to find an overall answer to desync. But there are things that they can do to make desync a little bit more bearable in the game. And that's all that we should be asking them for as a community. And that's really all that we're asking for as a community is, you know, start trying to figure out something to make it a little bit more bearable. We know that it's not going to be gone, but we don't want it to be as prevalent as it is right now, especially with the crossplay being introduced into the game. I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I have been getting in so many more like 3-bar fights, 2-bar fights, 1-bar fights, just because of the crossplay being open. And you know, desync being such a big thing, it can make for an incredibly hard time you know, to enjoy the crossplay feature because, you know, the desync is so heavy. So, you know, them at least starting to find ways to make desync a little bit more bearable in the game, I feel like is something that they should be heavily looking into for the next patch for Undisputed. Because if desync wasn't, or if desync was like legit 25% better, the experience that online players have for the game would be, you guys would notice a dramatic difference. Not gonna lie to you guys, a dramatic difference. So desync is definitely number 1. It's always gonna be number 1. Hopefully they can find some issues to make it a little bit more bearable with the current state of the game. The second thing that I'm gonna say that needs to be addressed in the next patch is going to be movement, and it's more specifically loose footwork / backwards movement. Now, I've talked about this plenty of times, and you hear a lot of people in the community, not just me, talking about how back foot fighting really is, it's the not only the meta, but it's really the only way that you're gonna have consistent success in the game right now. And that's not really the way that it should be. I'm not saying to eradicate back foot fighting in general, but I'm just saying there should be a nice balance to walking forward and pressure fighting, not just having to fight off the back foot the entire time. You feel what I'm saying? So I would really like to see Undisputed make some adjustments to the movement, whether that be adding maybe a stamina tax to people that are consistently fighting off the back foot the whole fight, so that way as the fight goes along, you know, their stamina, their long-term stamina starts to be affected, because that's a sim boxing thing. It's not easy for people to be fighting off the back foot all the time, or else everybody would do it, right? So it takes skill, you know, and even back foot fighters come forward too. They come forward too every once in a while. So, you know, adjustments to back foot fighting, movement, loose footwork movement definitely needs to be one of the bigger things that Steel City needs to address in the next patch for the game. Now, the third thing that I have is, you know, it's a little, it could be a little controversial because everybody uses it in the game, but that's going to be making an adjustment to the pullbacks. Now, in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I actually learned that not everybody knows that this is an exploit, but if you're pulling back consistently, it messes up the punch tracking, and it can really make for an irritating time in Undisputed. And so it needs to be addressed. And not saying that the pullback needs to not be a viable defensive option, but we need punches to be landing consistently. And that's really what the pullback is exploiting right now. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, well, it's head movement, which is true. It should be evading strikes to the head. But right now, that's not the only thing that it does. It can sometimes mess up the punch tracking to the body as well. So, making sure that, punches that are thrown to the body on people that are just pulling are more viable. If somebody's going to be pulling the whole fight, I can counter them effectively to the body and do body work to try to get them out of just this pull heavy meta that's in the game right now. Because you guys have probably seen it a lot, and it's very prevalent amongst the quote unquote high level players in the game. They pull everything, and they just pull just to pull. They're not even waiting for you to throw a punch. They don't have a read. They're coming out sometimes in the first round, and legit, I call it breakdancing. Or I don't even call it just breakdancing, but I call it being part of the terror squad, Fat Joe. They just be leaning back. Because they know if you try to throw anything while they're pulling back, there's a high chance that it's not going to land. So the pull counter or the pullbacks on top of the desync that's going on, it's really making for a tough experience when you're playing people online. So I would definitely like to see them make an adjustment to the pullbacks, to the pull counters and stuff like that, just to make it a little bit more just to increase the vulnerability of that said defensive option. So that way you can, as the aggressive fighter, you're not just getting pull countered every single time and your punches aren't landing to the body, and then they're opening up counter opportunities because the body shots are whiffing, or you're not getting the consistent damage that's needed to prevent somebody from playing that style. So I would really like to see Steel City address that in a major way. The fifth thing is going to be a little bit of a surprise for you guys, and this is the last thing I'm going to touch on in the video, is changing the feint inputs. Now, this is something that's been talked about in the past, but I don't feel like it's talked about enough, right? The feint inputs are just they're not good for what they are right now, which is, if in case you guys don't know, you have to hit left on the D-pad and then input a strike in order to throw a feint. And that's just not a very good control for a feint. I feel like feint should be easier thrown. It should be an easier input instead of you having to come off of your left stick to hit the D-pad and then have to go right back to your stick to try to prevent getting hit. So I feel like a better input for the feint system would really benefit the community, because it would make for an easier time to mix up opponents. Like, let's say you have an opponent that's pulling, right? If you throw a feint and then they pull, and then the consistent body damage, you can go down to the body because you're baiting them into doing a certain movement. But right now, that's not really prevalent in the game. You can't really bait opponents into doing things to take advantage of your high IQ, or to take advantage of their habits and their tendencies and stuff like that. So that's a side of boxing that I feel like should be represented well, is the feint system. That's really not prevalent in the game right now, and I feel like it really could be a big game changer if the controls actually got switched. So that's something that I really want to see implemented, is a change to the feint inputs, because I feel like it's going to go a long way, not just with the hardcore community, but also with the newer beginner players that are just picking up the game. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? What are some things that you guys want to see Steel City address in the next patch for Undisputed? And like I said, any comment that you guys drop in this video, once you get your opinion out there, you never know, man. Because like I said, the devs do watch content creators' videos, and they do use that as feedbacks to what they're going to work on in the next patch. So please let your opinion be heard in the comment section of this video. And as per the usual, I'm going to be trying to respond to every single comment that's left on this video. But that's it for me, my people. If you guys did enjoy this video and you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to slap that subscribe button as well as slap that like button, so that way this video does get tossed into the YouTube algorithm and more people get to enjoy the great content that I have for you guys here on the channel. But until next time, my people, take it easy, be safe, enjoy the rest of your guys' day, afternoon, evening, depending on where you guys are watching this from. And I will see you guys in the next video.